Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 3 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, this is going to be a good video. I have some basic notes here. I've got an idea for everything I want to talk about today. I want to talk about everything from Elon Musk, Ramaswamy, Alex Jones, all the way to Flat Earther, CC from Westchester County. I've done a video about him before, and climate change and COVID and all that. Let me start at the very beginning here. Yesterday, we had 6 inches of rain here yesterday, that storm system that moved through the country with the tornadoes. And I started thinking about, sometimes I get this growing feeling of dread that it's getting closer to the thought that Donald Trump might actually become president. And it occurred to me, the way, with climate change getting worse and Donald Trump with the possibility of becoming president, and I got this feeling of total dread on how he might handle it. And I started to think about the way, we'll just say United States residents. I don't know if it's the same around the whole world, but this is something I've noticed with the United States, that there's 2 different camps, basically. The way people deal with these new, somewhat terrifying situations that are popping up, like, climate change. 50 years ago when I was a kid, there was, there might have been talk about in the future with, greenhouse gases and stuff like that, but right now it's right here. It's on our doorstep. It's happening now, and the way that 2 different ways that people deal with that, and then I thought about COVID, and that kind of solidified my idea. This is what I thought. I thought yesterday I started thinking about this, about the way Donald Trump might deal with this, and the people that follow him, and they seem to deal with scary, uncertain situations like this: climate change, the pandemic, and I'm sure there'll be more pandemics. There always has been, there always will be. And it seems like people like Donald Trump and his followers and other people in the country, there's less education in this country. And it just seems more that we've gone back to this dark ages of, when something like this happens, people deal with it with fear and anger and somebody to blame. They look for somebody to blame, like with COVID. The Donald Trump, this one camp looks at it like they will feel happy when they have somebody to crucify, basically. Dr. Fauci, China. I never saw the purpose in that. Like, where it came from is important, but the only reason where it came from is important. It's not to hold people responsible, but in a way to solve it and to prevent future pandemics. So there's the people over here that seem to resort to just go right to hate and anger and somebody to blame, which I'm afraid that's going to happen if Donald Trump becomes president. And then there's reason and science and empathy and how to deal with things like this. Common sense, science, reason. People like, resolving where this came from is good in a way to stop it from happening again, not in a way that you could find somebody to blame. And it seems to me there's 2 different camps. And if and when Donald Trump does become president, God, I'm trying to think what he's going to do. If climate change became worse, that's what I thought yesterday. What will somebody like him do? Who will he blame? Who will he hold responsible? And not that will do any good, but there's a certain group of people that just feel better when they have somebody to crucify. That gives them some feeling. It calms their fears. It doesn't solve the problem, but it calms their fears. It's a gut emotional reaction instead of an intelligent reaction to solving the problem. And I thought about that yesterday. Okay, now let's move to yesterday too. I heard somebody say this. Somebody I talk to on a regular basis, and they told me this. They said that when this is a person that's a Trump voter, and this is a person that did not like Barack Obama and seems to think that there's more black people taking over things today. Seriously. And this person told me yesterday that when a white person and a black person have a baby, the baby's always dark, always black. And I said, no, they could be totally very white. They could be very black. It all depends on recessive and dominant genes and stuff, just like with eye color. People with blue eyes and brown eyes could have any color eyes kids. What if somebody with blue eyes and brown eyes always, like, if in using that person's idea, if people with blue eyes and brown eyes always had a brown-eyed baby, then I started thinking, well, eventually, blue eyes will become extinct. If there's always going to be that kind of a blue-eyed parent and a brown-eyed parent will always have a brown-eyed child, which is not true. They could have any color eyes. It all depends on dominant recessive genes. And then all of a sudden it occurred to me, this is why they're saying that. It's that whole extinction theory. That I was like, that's why they're saying this. That's why they think this, because they think that the white race is going to go extinct. And again, this is not something that's not true. These are theories and nonsense from people with race issues. Okay, so that was yesterday. Then I see these people had a phone call. This group of people. Okay, it sounds like a FaceTime event. I don't know if it was FaceTime involved, because Vivek Ramaswamy apparently was using the bathroom. I'll have the link down below because they could hear the tinkle. Seriously. And Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Alex Jones were all on a conference call. I think there was one other person yesterday. So this isn't a joke. This is a true story. And I started, and apparently Vivek had to use the facilities, and they heard him. This is Google it. It's a totally true. If I'll put the link down below. And I started thinking about this. Elon Musk is all. He claims he's for free speech, and he just opened up Alex Jones' account on Twitter. And I started thinking how Alex Jones really isn't free speech. He's really, it's that anger and hatred mentality of looking for somebody to blame, the fear, and he's trying to sell stuff. That's all he does. Different tinctures. He's a snake oil salesman. And I started to think about that, and that's not really free speech. That's really using the people, I thought about this. My views have been a little low lately. And I've thought about this many times. If I came on here tomorrow and said, you know what, I've seen the light. I'm a Donald Trump supporter now. And I also believe in the flat earth. And I came on here every day and talked about Donald Trump and all the theories I just talked about color and all that, and the flat earth. The sad thing is, I guarantee you that my subscribers and my views would go through the roof. And what does that say about America? What does that say about the people? It feels like the people that are actually read books and use reasoning and common sense and science is dwindling in this country. And there's more of this emotional gut response for anger and hatred and blaming. Okay, that brings me to CC of Westchester County. He's a flat earther. I did a video on him already. Right, and I just picked the newest video. You could pick any video by this guy, because it's all. If I hadn't seen this guy years ago and seen him progressing along this path of insanity, I would think that he's trolling, because it's so ridiculously ignorant and juvenile and nonsensical. It's hard to believe that anybody could be this. There's no other word to say but stupid or ignorant. And he is like the poster child. This CC from the link will be down below for this CC Westchester County, and he's like the poster child for this group of people. Like I said, the people that have anger and hatred and fear and are looking for something or someone to blame, that somebody's hiding stuff from them, that it's all a conspiracy theory and it's all these people's fault. And these, you have to do your own research, which is Googling. Okay, so that brings me to today's CC of Westchester County video. And oh my God, this is just the first video I picked. Okay, and again, he's talking about the Black Rock. And I have no idea what he's talking about. Supposedly, according to him, on the North Pole, the magnetic north is the biggest mountain in the world, the Black Rock. And I've never heard of this. So he starts Googling, and he says this. He says, I'm going to use Google on the search engine. And he says this kind of cryptically. He says, I don't usually use Google, but we're going to try Google. So, I think, he's up to something. So he Googles the Black Rock and the highest mountain in the world. And of course, Everest and these other, and then the stuff he's saying, he's trying to Google, he Googles the tallest mountain in the United States, when he's actually looking for the tallest mountain. Obviously the North Pole is not in the United States, and he's already making all these critical mistakes in his so-called research. And then he shows that, there's no results on Wikipedia or anything for the Black Rock Mountain in North Pole. Right? And I kind of laugh at him. I'm like, why didn't you do this ahead of time? You Googled, you insisted this Black Rock Mountain exists, and you Google it and nothing pops up and you look like an idiot. And I started thinking, though, what he said about how he never uses Google. So I went to another search engine, and I went to DuckDuckGo, which shows everything you can get. DuckDuckGo is basically the dark net. It really is. A lot of people don't realize that, but DuckDuckGo really is the dark net. There's no censoring. You can find anything, all sorts of stuff on there. And I Googled the Black Rock Mountain in North Pole, and this is why he didn't want to Google it. This is why he didn't want to tell you that it's to go to DuckDuckGo, because it's a mythical land that was on maps like back when they thought the world was flat. Seriously. And supposedly there's pygmies there. I kid you not. It's from the 1500s, and supposedly this was the idea that there was a big black mountain at the North Pole, and there was 4 lands around. They're showing maps from back before Columbus's days, and this is the theory. And it says right on there. It says that this is a lot of fantasy and science fiction, and it's all mixed together, like Jules Verne and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, that's why CC from Westchester County didn't come out and say, hey, just Google, just search this on DuckDuckGo, and you'll see what I'm talking about, because he'll look like, it'll make him look like an idiot. Okay, so enough about this Black Rock Mountain. So then he gets into the compass and true north. And he's serious about this. I learned this stuff in I don't know, earth science in 5th grade. He doesn't know how a compass works. Seriously. He's saying that the earth, that the magnetic core, the iron in the middle of the earth, because the compass, he said, in a ball earth, as he calls it, because he's a flat earther, that the compass would point straight down. It wouldn't point to the North Pole, because the closest magnet is inside the earth. And then he starts talking about how China is underneath him, and he's on top of China. He's got such a, and then I thought about this. It's like, if he is a flat earther, how can there be China underneath him? The stuff he's saying doesn't even make sense to a flat earther. So he starts saying, he doesn't know how a magnet how a compass works. And he says, why does it always point to the North Pole? Why not the South Pole? Why doesn't it point to the center of the earth? And I basically, the same reason, and then he describes the compass as a piece of metal and water. And I'm like, oh my God, there is seriously 2nd and 3rd graders that are smarter than this guy. And he doesn't, and obviously he's willfully ignorant, because he doesn't even want to know. If he just Googled how does a compass work, he'd understand. Or he doesn't tell the people what Black Rock Mountain really is. He knows damn well it's not a real place. It's this mythical place that was in maps from like 700 years ago. And he knows that, but it will destroy his fantasy. The way, the real, I'll put the link down below. The real thing that he's missing here is just like if you had 2 bar magnets, like when I was a kid, there's north, and south, opposite, negative, and they attract. A positive is attracted to negative. That's why, the 2 ends. That's why magnets don't attach in the middle. That's his theory. That if a compass worked how he thought it would work, it would point straight down. No, because there's magnetic poles and magnetic. It's not called waves. Magnetic waves, I guess. So that's what it's attracted to. Oh, and by the way, the North Pole is actually attracted to it's actually the South magnetic pole. So that's what makes this the positive north end of the compass point to. It's attracted to the south negative pole of the North Pole. At least that's a simple way that I understand it. The link will be down below. And he doesn't even understand how a compass works. To him, a compass is a lie, and it disproves a compass. He doesn't believe in a compass. He challenged any scientist to explain to him how a compass works. And then I thought of the big picture, how I just started this video, and how I'm scared for I'm scared for this country, because there's more and more people like this. It's like the Dark Ages. They've thrown common sense and education out the window. Now, supposedly universities are bastions of liberal thinking and wokeism. And there's this thing against, it's like this kickback against intelligence and common sense and critical thinking and science, where you're just going back to the dark ages of fear and anger and blame. Somebody to blame, somebody to crucify. That makes us all feel better. Then we go on to the next person, we crucify him. And that anger, that violence, that hatred is addictive, and it seems to solve in their mind, it solves their problems temporarily. Like, this is all just a lie to him. CC from Westchester County. I hope this all made sense. I'm trying to tie it all together. Elon Musk, if he was really for free speech, he would not have Vivek Ramaswamy and Alex Jones on there. Alex Jones is one of those people that's he's selling anger and hatred and blame. That's what he sells on his show. He's a salesman. He's a snake oil salesman. It's not about free speech or the truth. He's about nothing but money in himself. Vivek Ramaswamy wants to raise the voting age to 25 because they're scared of younger female voters, the people that are attracted to Taylor Swift. And they're actually, a lot of the right is scared of Taylor Swift and this voting bloc, and they want to, that's not free speech when you're trying to actually take away the vote of people from 18 to 25. So Elon Musk is on the phone with these two people who are actually the opposite of free speech. Those are some of my thoughts. The link will be down below. Check out CC from Westchester County, man. He is a trip, and he's not trolling. He really is this ignorant. I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a great Tuesday.